Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Ward Lawrence. I'm the Partner Strategy Lead for the Manufacturing and Mobility team at Microsoft. And I hope you're here to see delivering agents to accelerate industrial AI, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. I will be joined by Howard Heppelmann and Prateek Kathpal a little bit later today. But first, we're going to set a little bit of the groundwork about what we really mean when we talk about frontier in manufacturing. So let me start with a video, of course.
The industries are going through a significant transformation. They have been challenged to be more productive, efficient, and more resilient. Customers are seeing the value of AI. It's cutting the maintenance cost up to 30%, improving the asset reliability by 20%, reducing the carbon emissions by 15%, bringing the energy consumption down by 20%.
AI at Michelin is a double challenge of scale and continuous integration of new technologies, and Microsoft is helping us on both, all across the value chain, from research and development, where we invent new materials, manufacturing, supply chain, service and solution, and in between marketing and sales.
We are committed to using AI and automation to innovate and drive more sustainable material science solutions.
Digital is a key enabler, and we are creating a digital backbone that enables us to be competitive into the future.
The biggest transformation that we are looking at right now is actually around data. We can see that the digital and the physical world is really melting together.
Every single day, we are helping farmers on the fields, we are helping to cure diseases, and we are helping our consumers get healthier. We really want to be at the forefront of innovation. That's the reason why we are trying out new technologies.
Trabajar con Copilot Studio y Power Apps nos motiva a todos a crear un trabajo de mayor valor. Por eso disfruto mucho mi trabajo.
All right, so if several of you are here to see Diane Rodriguez, he is our CVP of Manufacturing and Mobility. Fortunately for him, I should say, he just had a baby, so he was not able to be here today. But I'm actually really happy to be able to take his place, and I'm really happy that this session is taking place near the end of the event, because over the last 3 days, I've been able to walk the floor, talk to tons of partners, hear the kind of questions that are on their minds. And so I've tailored this presentation a little bit to start trying to answer those questions for all of you out there. And really what it begins with is, what is this thing of frontier firm, and what does that look like? And I will say that I haven't actually seen anybody take a real stab at what does this look like for manufacturing until a really good deck I got yesterday. And this is the new kind of vision of what this looks like to be frontier. And it's about being autonomous first, seamlessly integrating that human expertise with agentic capabilities. And those words are really highlighted there, because the autonomous first does not mean fully autonomous. Now, for those of you who have been in the manufacturing world a while, you always hear about lights out manufacturing or dark factories. The concept being that you can get your products being manufactured without even needing anybody in there. That is very pie in the sky, and maybe we get there someday, but that is a long way off for most. Maybe we're going to get there in a few years and a few factories, but it's going to take a long time to really roll that out across the industry. But having that autonomous first idea there does open you up to a bunch of new process abilities, new ways of thinking about how to do things. And if you've been here for the rest of the week, then you've probably heard agentic a couple of times from Microsoft. It's all about having that human there in the middle and not getting rid of the humans. And part of the reason for that is that as all of our manufacturing customer bases, or if you're a customer in the audience today, you know that you're struggling right now with a workforce skilling issue, that we think it's close to 2 million jobs that are out there that need to be filled, and we're really struggling in this industry to find the right people. So taking that agentic approach is a way to start addressing that problem without ruining your productivity. So it's a way to get a lot more out of the people you already have versus getting rid of those or having to hire a whole lot more. So although this is kind of our North Star vision we're going after, there's very few companies, if anybody, who's really there right now. And so we've had this concept of around different phases of this frontier firm. And it starts with having humans with assistants. So having that AI assistant that really is helping you perform your job better. And this is where most of our partners who are playing with AI today and playing with agents is. This is kind of those co-pilots that we all came out with, or the co-pilots even that Microsoft started with in M365 and D365. So it's having that personal assistant that's really helping you do your job better. But as we start moving into phase 2, and I'm seeing good examples of this week, it's getting into those where the digital colleagues are starting to take on things. So you're actually having agents that are doing things in the background. And it comes down to having human direction to then take choices on what you're going to do. But you've got the agents that are out there working in the background. A good example of this is what Satya showed last year at the keynote. One of our finalists, Partners of the Year, and they also won a Partner of the Year award in Japan, is a company called Zen Architects. Very small SI, but great engineers. And they created what was called the 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗶𝗀𝗍 system. But it was basically a digital engineering system that was using agents to go in the background and go into all different types of services or things that you're having to think about when you're engineering a product. And it's pulling all that information back into one interface. And that is what we were really talking about when we got into that phase 2 of human agent teams. Well, now where we're going is that human-led and then agent-operated, where you give it direction, you give it parameters of what you want it to do, and then those agents go and actually start doing the work on your behalf. So that is where, and we do see that there are companies, again, trying to get there, and it's probably the thing that we're going to be getting to next. But I got asked a lot this year about, hey, what do I focus on? What is my role in this? And really, where is this market going? And when you think about what are the agents, and we have kind of this form of what is the agent, it's the retrieval, and that's that simple view of what kind of the co-pilots are doing. And that's where a lot of people started. And if you haven't even started there, you may think about how you can create that middle one where it's that task taking actions when asked, having that human in the loop. But if you're really just beginning in this, I would say start in that retrieval, then move on to that task-oriented one, and then get into autonomous, or even think about how autonomous at the end state, and then start where you possibly can. And I say that just because there's so many ISVs that I work with that are they're struggling with how to even think about their processes. And I actually saw an excellent view of AVEVA today, that the AVEVA Industrial AI Copilot, they're showcasing it, I think, an hour or so ago, where they really started with that retrieval idea. They started with a co-pilot type thing that you ask it questions, and you're basically talking to your data. And Tom Nall from Avanade really kind of coined that term with me. He's like, look, you go in and you talk to a factory manager, and you said, have you ever talked to your data? And it kind of opens up their eyes, but that's, okay, I can start asking the right questions and start doing some troubleshooting. Now where AVEVA's going with that is they're getting into that task-oriented, where it's going out there and it'll say, do you want to do this? Do you want to create a Power BI with all of this? And do you want to start monitoring the performance of this pump on an ongoing basis? You click the button and then it creates a Power BI and it starts doing that. So it was a great eye-opener to me to see how, again, one of our partners of the year, AVEVA, with what they've been doing with Fabric, what they've been doing with AI, and then creating that new assistant and taking it from one step to the next, that's what this level of integration we're asking all of you to start taking on. And what some of these things are actually looking like from our manufacturing and our frontier perspective. So when Judson gets up and talks about how you start rolling out AI and this concept of being frontier, he looks at these 4 main ways to do it. So the enriching employee experiences. So equipping the workforce from the shop floor to the top floor with AI agents. And again, that gets back to your white-collar workers can be using M365. Your blue-collar workers down in the factory can be using one thing. Your engineers can be using a different type. Your people in the warehouse can be using another type. But it's whatever the employee is in whichever environment, they've got something that they can use that's helping them do their jobs better. The next one is on customer engagement, and this is where Microsoft does have some first-party software here, a lot around the AI agents for supporting sales and operations and marketing and field service teams. So we see a lot of that coming on, and I'll talk a little bit more about some examples there. But then the reshaping business processes is where we spend a lot of our time with you in our ISV community. It's getting those factory and supply chain challenges that are really, really ripe for AI to be applied against them. And then the innovation. So the other thing that we spend a lot of time on is with our engineering departments and with our partners that serve those engineering departments to start bringing products to market faster, but really trying to get that same level of efficiency that our developers see with GitHub Copilot, where they're getting 30 to 40% of their coding automatically done just by using prompts. That we're starting to see that now coming into the R&D departments, where you can start creating CAD models, 2D, 3D, just by telling it what you want. Autodesk actually showed that at their kickoff, and they use all of our AI technology on top of their products. And it was really, really eye-opening to see what they could be doing just by saying, give me a new design for a toaster in these dimensions. So this is why Microsoft is so adamant about this agentic message with you. Everywhere we're taking this, the customers are asking for, okay, what can we do next? A lot of them are asking, where can we start? Definitely no lie about that. Not everybody has started to adopt, but they're starting to get there. And when you see a lot of these examples of the savings in hours or percentages of efficiency that they're getting, it's pretty mind-blowing, and they really do start to ask, okay, what else can we do? What's next? 87% confidence that these agents will help them expand their capacity. I hear all the time that like the co-pilots and things are the most fastly adopted products that Microsoft has ever had. I've been here for 25 years, and I can guarantee you it's the fastest I've ever seen us adopt a new technology, even internally. And these agents will take it the next step. That's why we're so adamant for you guys to be building your platforms on this, leveraging the agents, and as SIs out there, understanding how to then take what our ISVs are doing and stitch that together in somebody's environment, or even doing it yourself in a few cases. So if any of you have ever heard me talk, we talk about how we go to market. And again, this is a very partner-focused message, because the way that Microsoft sells to manufacturing and mobility customers is in some of these what we call industry pillars or industry conversations. And we start with unlocking innovation, which is really around digital engineering. We then go into the factories, we talk about supply chain, and then again, modernizing the manufacturing customer experience. And these are some of the things that we're seeing that are very hot. I got asked this question all week long. Hey, where should I be going? What is hot? What are you seeing others doing out there? And the first one is, if I start in that unlock innovation around design and engineering, is accelerating product development through generative design. So this is, again, that concept of I use natural language prompts, and then it creates a drawing of something. If we look at companies like Siemens and PTC, they're already putting AI into their products, their CAD products, to then be able to create those CAD files automatically. Or they've got PLM systems with AI in them where, again, getting better collaboration going on through voice AI, or through getting information coming back from a coding perspective in their ALM solutions, making sure that they're checking off on all the right regulations based off of whatever the countries that they're targeting on their market. So that's how we're doing that product development as well as the streamlining software. I know we're getting close to the end of this conference, and most of you are probably going to be getting out of here pretty soon. But if you're still around, I want to point you to my friends at TCS. Go see their booth if you can. They showed me all of the new things that they're doing from an engineering perspective, and it is really, really groundbreaking. Not only are they looking at the solutions and what an engineer are doing and putting, filling gaps around what some of the, like doing things like change management, finding holes when it goes from the EBOM to the MBOM. And then, so you've got a lot of companies doing things like that, but then they've even got a new product, or I should say application, that when you do the sketch of a car, it creates a 2D view and then a 3D view of it. And that may not end up being what you end up going to market with, but it's a really, really fast start, saving days worth of efforts of engineers in R&D. So I called out TCS there. There's others that are doing really good things as well. Sellable Tech has several things out there. You've got HCL Tech has also got some good solutions. NTT Data has got some great stuff. And I'm just calling those out because I want to give you guys examples of where the ISVs are doing their work. They're ingraining AI into their technology. But then the SIs can come in on top, implement, and then take that even further to go through all the processes within those organizations. If I look at the intelligent factory side, there's really a couple of different ways that we're seeing this AI come around. And it starts with those companies like the Avivas I spoke about, or a Rockwell, or even a Siemens, or a PTC, and how they're bringing that information from the machines and making them cloud ready, and then being able to put AI on top of that. Where we're seeing the real breakthroughs, though, is in what more the platform players that are taking the data and then really making it usable, putting those things into co-pilots and telling people how they can work a little bit faster and better. That's what Symphony AI does. We're going to hear more from Prateek here in just a little bit. But guys like Sight Machine and Cognite and Kongsberg, they're really doing a lot of groundbreaking stuff, and they're getting to those types of solutions that are getting into that second level of agents where they're coming back asking you, do you want me to do this? And all you have to do is click a button and say yes. On the supply chain side, there are so many applications that you could be going after here. It was a disservice to only put 2 things. But I did want to highlight a couple of them that we're seeing that are kind of some of these up-and-coming companies. And this is why my job is fun, that I get to help curate some of those coolest technologies coming in and then take those to my sellers that are solving new problems, like on the risk simulation and management side of it. So there's companies like Veridium AI that are helping look at the actual chemical makeup to see is there any kind of a banned PFAS that is in the product. Or companies like Tomorrow.io that have great weather technology, so you can look if you've got shipping coming in across an ocean and you're about to have a typhoon, then let's look at, okay, what is either that's going to do to the shipping, or let's see if we can reroute it in some way. That gets us into the intelligent warehousing, logistics, and there's so much things that are going on. I mean, we use that every day, anytime we take an Uber or use Waze or anything like that, and it's the same thing that our transportation customers take that to a new level. And then on the modernizing experience, again, I said Microsoft has some solutions here in the Dynamics 365 Copilots. But then we also work with companies like PTC and what they're doing with ServiceMax or Servigistics from an MRO perspective. Same thing, IFS, we had great conversations with them. They're doing a lot of really interesting things with MRO. And even TeamViewer is a company that's got really great AR technology. And since Microsoft got out of the HoloLens business, we've been pushing a lot of that towards TeamViewer because they've got glasses, they can do it on a tablet or on a phone. And they support a lot of different scenarios, whether it's field service technicians and giving them the information they need. They have AI agents that are sending that information, or they can even call back into a remote call center. Or they've got supply chain type solutions. They've got engineering solutions that are also going on. And then the last one that I want to call out here is NVIDIA, because NVIDIA is a lot like Microsoft in that they're a platform company. They have AI. And they need you to help bring them to life. And it's been one of those fun partnerships for me to work on because they come to me and they say, Ward, hey, who are those cool technology companies that we need to get onto this platform? And I'll say, you know what, we're doing a lot with Symphony AI. Can you go talk to those guys? And then they go do it. And then you'll see nice, neat stuff coming out with them. And they are across all of these. I think we've got 8 different NVIDIA demos in everybody's booths out there. And a lot of times you don't even know it's theirs. So they're kind of becoming the Intel inside, where it's NVIDIA powered in the graphics or in the AI. So these are some of the ways that I just wanted to share about what we're seeing from what customers are asking us and how we're trying to take that to market and help you hit what is hot out there from what our customers are asking us. But now I want to bring up Howard and Prateek to ask them a little bit more about how they are getting into this agentic approach. So guys, come on up. All right, Prateek, I'm going to start with you since I was talking about Symphony AI.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit more about how you guys are leveraging agents to help improve operations.
Well, a couple of different ways, right? So first of all, there are two kinds of agents the way I see it. There's generic, general purpose, and there's custom, right? So when you are building, when you're looking at a process or a persona-based process, I should say, you'll go and build an agentic AI workflow, which will have a bunch of agents within that, which will perform that process task, like you were saying, right? And within the task, you'll have some of these generic agents that you'll pick up. For example, let's take an example of just parsing a PDF, right? It could be a work order, it could be an invoice, it could be a maintenance report, right? But then there are these custom agents which are taking that data, that information from that PDF that you parsed, and extracting that information and doing something with that, right? And adding the intelligence layer on that, whether it is extracting the data and calculating the lead value and then sending an email, summarizing it, or triggering other processes as a part of that, right? So those are some of the areas where we play in. So we have provided as a company an agentic AI workflow where you can go in and build custom agents and then deploy them directly onto the Azure Fabric.
That's great. And Symphony AI has been with us for a while, and you guys were one of the first to really adopt AI at scale with your platform. And then you were one of the first that went to the co-pilots with us when that was the biggest thing last year.
That's right.
Now you're the first ones to really go at the agents.
Yep.
Tell us about that journey.
It's been great. You know, when we started very early on, when the co-pilots were beginning, and we deployed as a part of the co-pilot studio. In fact, we were the first ones who, at that point, were the true enterprise-grade deployments of the co-pilot studio in the industrial and manufacturing space. And since then, we've come a long way where we started with the co-pilots, went to the agentic AI workflows and agents, and now we're talking about the knowledge graphs and ontologies, right? It has been a great journey and great learning experience for us as well. But also as a part of that, the maturity of the Microsoft platform, along with the Symphony AI platform, has come through a long way on that.
That's great. So we've got a lot of partners out here. What advice do you have for them as they get into the agents?
I think there are a couple, right? One is, as I started earlier and said, there are no general purpose agents that you can build and take it to every customer, right? There might be few that will solve a problem, but there's always going to be custom agents that will have to be built. But that being said, the agents can only be successful if you integrate them with your upstream and downstream processes. So the data, and then the quality of the data that is feeding into your workflows that the agents are going to be running, which I call it like a runtime engine for the agents, that's a very critical aspect, right? So when you bring in your data, you set up your CI/CD pipelines, your transformation pipelines, and then you go and deploy your agents, that's where the true value really begins to shine.
Very good. So I think you had some announcements this week. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so we announced actually two things. One was late last week, which is what we call as our Forge product, which allows you to go in and build dynamic applications and write AI agents using AI-based code programming or prompt coding, as we call it now. And the second one that we did this week is with NVIDIA and Microsoft on supporting the Omniverse now directly into the platform. But what you could do, which is really, really cool, and I would recommend you guys should look at it, is you can go in and use the AI-based wipe coding now to basically define your process using this wipe coding and prompt coding. And it'll not only just create your process flow, but at the same time, it will take let's say in this case, the NVIDIA Omniverse SDK and build a 3D digital twin for you at the same time as well. So for companies who are looking at automating the process, building the digital twins, and having a 3D visualization, you can do that all using natural language now within a matter of few hours, and it'll all come together.
That's very cool.
Yep.
Thanks. All right, Howard, we're going to turn to you. So Howard Heppelmann, I used to work with at PTC, created a new company called Opsmate AI. And my guess is this is the first a lot of people are hearing of Opsmate AI. Tell us what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, let me go back to the PTC days. What I did in my previous life and worked closely with Microsoft is we were providing a low-code platform to manufacturing companies that allowed them to converge their IT data and OT data into real-time insights. And then if you think about in a factory, what that meant is it gave people real-time visibility to operations. They could see what was happening, but it was still left to that human layer on top to kind of figure out, okay, well, why is that happening and what should we do about it to fix it? Obviously, that's the shortest path to mean time to resolution. And so while at PTC, we realized that this platform that we were building could be completely reimagined through the lens of generative and agentic AI, and that it no longer had to be limited just by the IT and OT data. There's a third, and perhaps some would argue, I know some of our customers do, most important aspect of the knowledge in manufacturing, and that is the knowledge. The knowledge that sits in documents and videos and spreadsheets and equipment manuals and standards, et cetera, and the tribal knowledge. And so anyway, we left and built a company, Opsmate AI, your AI partner in operations, to basically capture and manage and distribute knowledge to those who need it so that they can make better, faster decisions.
Very cool. And where are you going to be going next with agents?
Yeah, we really, I was listening to Judson's kickoff speech, and he talked about embedding agents in the flow of work and then making agents ubiquitous. And we very much share that concept at Opsmate. The first thing is, we're really focused on that missing piece of knowledge. So how do you embed agents into the daily flow of work to help capture, extract, curate, and deploy knowledge? And then the second aspect of it is really how do you make it ubiquitous? For us, what we're building is a platform that is very much like Microsoft Excel. It's not Microsoft Excel, let me be clear. But if you think about what is the most broadly used tool across the world today in manufacturing, it's Microsoft Excel. People use it, they put their own data in it, they model it, they solve problems. We're building Opsmate for the frontline teams so that an individual or a team or a department or somebody focused on a particular bottleneck process can use our platform to capture the data that surrounds that particular problem domain and start to solve problems.
Very cool. All right, so as a startup, we've got a lot of startups here. You had a lot of choices as far as which companies to bet on, which platforms to use. Why'd you choose Microsoft?
Yeah, I would say for me, there's three simple reasons for doing that. The first is every customer I deal with in manufacturing has a long history and a large footprint today on Microsoft, and I think that leads to the second, which is the same reason technically we chose it. We're building a solution for a generation to come, and it's just like building a house. When you're gonna build a house, you don't go cheap on the foundation. I don't mean cheap from a cost perspective. What I mean is from security, scalability, capability, et cetera. So it was obvious to us we were going to build on Azure and Azure AI services from day one, Azure AI Foundry. And then the third thing is, as you know, in my past life, I was the last 2 of the 3 years I ran that business. I was your IoT Partner of the Year globally for 2 of those 3 years. And I know that Microsoft is a company that we could trust and build stuff on and ultimately rely on to deliver the value we want to our customers.
That's great. We're happy to have you back.
Thank you.
You were part of our startup program. Like, what was the benefit of that for you?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody here hasn't done a startup, I encourage you to do it. You'll learn a lot along the way. Those early days are sometimes a lot going on. But I think from the get-go, there's 2 things. One is, there's a lot of tools that are available to a startup. And when you're starting a company, the last thing you want to worry about is like what tools you pick and use and try to piece together. So being part of your startup program, you get access to this whole suite and portfolio. And then the second thing is there's obviously, as many here probably know, if you're building an AI solution like ours, you get a certain number of credits that allow you to go out and prove some things out before you have to start spending your money on that. And then it's also an avenue into people like you and others into the company that can help you when you need to continue to build out and scale. So it's been a great program, and we're thrilled to be part of it.
That's great. So one of the things that I do a lot is help make connections between ISVs and SIs, especially smaller ISVs and SIs. And so you've already got some pretty big customers. Like, what are you thinking of on how you scale out?
Yeah. Again, I think this goes back to something I just mentioned briefly earlier, and to what Judson said. It's all about making it ubiquitous. So for us, it's about capturing a use case initially, proving that value with the customer, but designing our platform and our tools in a way that the customers themselves become the owner. One of the challenges for anybody who's spent their time in manufacturing, you can't point to too many manufacturing companies that are huge software companies. It's difficult to scale in manufacturing. Every factory is a snowflake. The problem you have on this line and the problem you have on the line next to it that should be identical lines are completely different. The problem you have this Monday versus the one you should expect to have next Monday are completely different. And so our approach to scaling is really, back to this Excel concept, is give the people the tools they need to solve the problems that are closest to them, as opposed to asking those people to go to a corporate team that has limited resources and stand in line for them to deliver a solution to their problem.
Yeah. That's great. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to do a little bit of a closeout in the next couple of minutes, and then hopefully we'll have just a few minutes for questions if anybody has a question for either Prateek, Howard, or me. And if not, if we don't get to that, then we'll be milling around a little bit. You can come up afterwards. But I do want to just kind of come back to the power of the partners. That I said this before, we are platform companies. That I'm a platform company with Microsoft. NVIDIA was a platform company that I spoke about. It all comes down to you guys being able to build on our technology to actually solve the customer's problems. So that is the power of our partners and the power of creating this ecosystem. And that is what delivers that differentiated value. And I'll give you an example of this last night. We had an automotive event with NVIDIA and Microsoft. And afterwards, we were standing around and talking, and I had Litmus Automation, who does connections of plant floor information into the cloud. I had Sight Machine at the table, who then takes that information, puts it into a great engine that then gives you recommendations on how to improve performance. I had NVIDIA at the table that their Sight Machine, Symphony AI, they're leveraging that Omniverse technology to then make either whether it's on the simulation side or from a visualization perspective. I had Kinetic Vision at the table. Kinetic Vision is kind of an SI, also really, really good of taking shots and creating Omniverse views with it. So having that ecosystem together makes doing business with our customers so much easier. And having everybody bringing that together so that the customer doesn't have to figure it out and have to bring all those pieces together, that's the power that we have whenever we start working on some of these visions and then being able to play nicely with each other, all leveraging the Azure technology. So that's how we make it easy for our customers, and I'm really looking forward to working with a lot of you to keep doing that. And then the one last thing I want to say about the partners is on this measured impact aspect, that I do a lot of first partner conversations, meaning somebody like Yuri, our solutions lead, will come to me and she said, hey, I was at a conference for supply chain. I saw this great partner. Can you talk to these guys about what it is to be a partner at Microsoft? And so I take a lot of these first conversations. Maybe they decide that they're going to go on to Marketplace. We start doing a little bit of co-selling. And the goal is to then get you guys to a point to where you can be managed by one of our partner managers. Now at Microsoft, unfortunately, the partner manager is one of the most scarce resources there is. So the way that you get one of those is to play our co-sell games and make sure that you are putting those opportunities through our systems, because they do measure things like partner-influenced ACR. How many M365 seats are being deployed if you're an SI? How many marketplace build wins you get? How many transactions you're driving? That's the way to kind of raise your status within the views of the Microsoft Partner Manager ecosystem to then be able to get something. It's also the way that you work with our sellers. So we have in my team within manufacturing mobility, we have about 70 industry advisors. I talked about how they were focused in on engineering and manufacturing and supply chain. The way that they get paid is by having ACR being driven in their accounts, by getting marketplace build sales from you guys, and also now by creating net new opportunities and sending them to the partners. So their two biggest metrics that they really can impact is how many opportunities they create and how many they share with you. And I say that because it's a big change in how we've been doing things over the last few years. And if you've been a little disillusioned with the idea of co-sell, the company is really backing that right now. We give 50% of the sales of whatever you close on Marketplace. We pay our sellers 50% for that. We also start giving them the ACR that you generate on an immediate basis once you close a deal. And we make that really easy for you guys to tell us now. So that's how we can achieve more together, is not just with you guys leveraging our platform, going to the customers, but it's also working with our sellers to do that co-sell. And it does start with Marketplace. So I don't need to go beat a dead horse here because Marketplace has been all over here. They've got booths if you want to learn more. But just know that it is important, and it's not only important from a selling with us perspective. A lot of times customers will ask our sellers, hey, are you guys working with this partner? I went to your Marketplace, I didn't even see him up there. So it gives you some instant credibility that you're a Microsoft partner for those customers. And I've kind of been doing multiple meetings with our sales manager in the Americas, and he said, look, a lot of the procurement managers now are trying to simplify how they procure, and they really want to push as much as possible that they can buy on the Azure platform through Marketplace. So it's really powerful for you, and it's a great way to make sure that you're connecting with our sellers. The last thing I'll mention on that front is this AI Certified Partner Program, and this is kind of our general certified partner program that we have at Microsoft. But what I want you to take away is we have this thing called Certified Software Designation. You can get into this if you're a part of our manufacturing perspective, meaning engineering, manufacturing, supply chain, customer engagement. And you go through a bit of an audit process. It starts with having the solution up on Marketplace, then you can go through a process. When you get that designation, it gives you a new level of benefits from Microsoft. You start being able to apply for proof of concept dollars and for doing implementations with our customers. And unlike the very painful ESIF problem we have been going through for the last few years, this is something that actually runs through incentives. So it's almost immediate, and it's very, very easy for you to push through. So it's a good benefit of going through that program. And then it also opens up this partner reported ACR aspect where when you close a deal, you tell us, hey, about 10% of that's going to be through Azure. And then we start paying our people immediately on that 10%. We don't wait for it to go in. We just start paying in the very next month. You get those two benefits by being a part of that certified software designation. So I highly recommend that everybody does that. And if you don't have a partner manager, go to ISV Success, especially if you're brand new. The startup program's harder to get into now. You have to be going through a major VC or private equity firm. If you don't have that, go through ISV Success. You sign up for that, and for a year, you actually have humans you can talk to help walk through this Marketplace stuff, or through what it is to co-sell, or how to connect in with us. So it's a really good program for you to go through. You go through for a year free, and then after that, they will come back and ask you if you want to pay for that type of a service as you go forward. But hopefully by that point, you're already connected well, and you may be able to do it on your own, or you keep paying for the service. So those are ways that you can make sure that you're engaging with us, and those are really my go-dos for you guys as you walk out of here. So with that, I'm going to just say thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being online. And with that, I want to open it up to, does anybody have any questions? No? All right. Well, with that, we'll close it off. And if you do want to come up and ask a private question, feel free. We'll be milling around for the next few minutes. So thank you.